The purpose of this video is to give an introduction to basic green screening technique. The actual green screening effect is called chroma keying compositing. So let's break it down. Chroma keying essentially means taking a color range within a shot and making it transparent. So in this case, we're going to take all the green and key it out, and also mask around the edges. So now all the green is transparent. The next step is compositing. Compositing means layering images. So what we're going to do is add a background image to our foreground image, which has been partially keyed or made transparent. This technique is a fantastic way to add production value to your film, whether it be a subtle special effect or completely changing the background. We're going to start out with tips for filming with a green screen, and then we're going to end it off with a step-by-step guide on how to deal with a green screen in post-production using the Adobe bundle. So there's a few considerations you should take into account when filming with a green screen. You have to consider clothing. You don't want to be wearing anything in the same color as your screen that you're using for the chroma keying. So today I'm using green, so I'm not wearing any green. If I was using a blue screen for my chroma keying, I wouldn't wear anything blue. The next thing you want to avoid is folds in the green screen itself. This leads to shading within the green screen, making it more difficult to get a clean key in post-production. And another good way to avoid shading on the green screen is to light the entire scene. As you can see here, I have myself lit along with the green screen. And my final tip with regards to filming with a green screen is put some distance between you and your green screen. Because what will happen is some of the light off the green screen will bounce onto you, giving you a green vignette around the edges, making it harder to key in post-production. Now let's jump into the step-by-step guide on how to deal with green screening in post-production. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Premiere. The first thing we're going to do is bring our raw footage into our sequence, which is called adjustment sequence. So we'll bring it in. The next thing we're going to do is create a new sequence. So we'll go File, New, Sequence. We'll keep the same presets and call it Main. And what we're going to do is take our adjustment sequence and put it into the main sequence. And we'll start splicing the video whichever way we want here. Once we're done with the splicing, we're going to go back to our adjustment sequence with the original footage. Now the nice thing about having a sequence inside of a sequence or doing an adjustment sequence is any changes that we apply to the raw footage here will be applied to the individual splice segments here. So we'll go back to the adjustment sequence, we'll select the layer, and what we're going to do is create a dynamic link to After Effects for the actual green screening effect. So we'll select the footage, right click, select Replace with After Effects Composition, and it's going to open up an After Effects project. It's going to ask us to save an After Effects project, so we'll go ahead and name it and save. So here we have our footage, which is dynamically linked to our Adobe Premiere project. So this is where we're going to key it out. The first thing we're going to do is bring in our background shot. So it's just a picture that I'm using, which I'll bring it into the project bin. And then we'll bring it down to the timeline. So it's already in the background. So there it is. So now what we need to do is start keying out. The easiest thing to do first is to get rid of anything in the background that's not going to be involved with the shot at all. So the wall, the lights, these flowers in the background. So we'll select the layer, select the pen tool, and just create a mask. And the mask has been created. Now what we're going to do is start keying out the background. So we'll select the layer, go up to Effects, go down to Primat, select Primat Keyer. The easiest way to deal with Primat in the Effects panel is just work from the top to bottom. So we're going to go to Sampling Style, and we're going to pick Rectangle. The next thing we're going to do is select the background that we want to key out. So we'll go to Selection, hit Select Background, and just click and drag on the background. And you can see that the green has been keyed out. However, we have a lot of shading. So to fine tune this, what we're going to do is go under View, we'll go Matte. And this view shows us what is transparent and what is not. So anything in white is not transparent. So we have a lot of stuff in the background that is not transparent, the shading that we saw before. So we're going to select Clean Background and just start selecting all that white area in the background to eliminate it. In the event that we get some transparency in the foreground, all you have to do is select Clean Foreground and select the appropriate areas. So it looks like everything is keying out nicely now. So we can go back to view and select comp, and that's looking pretty good. So the next few steps we're going to take is to further sell the shot. So what we're going to do is smooth out the edges that are very, very sharp along the actual mat or the subject. So what we'll do is go down to correction, defocus matte, and bring it up to 10 pixels. And make sure we have inward defocus. And what that does is it creates a slight blur along the edge of the mat. If you look really closely, you also might see a very subtle green vignette around the actual subject or the mat. So what we can do is shrink the mat to eliminate that green vignette. So we'll shrink the mat by 3 pixels or so, and that should help the problem. The next thing we're going to do to further sell the shot is create a fake light bounce. So we're going to create a light bouncing off the background onto the subject, which is called a light wrap. I'm going to show you what that means. So what we're going to do is go down to composition, select background layer, select the actual background itself, go to light wrap, select enable, and then we're going to go comp wrap on black only. And you can already see that it's sort of a light bounce that comes off the background onto the subject. So we'll create an aggressive blur on the actual background, increase the actual light wrap, and that's looking pretty good. So we'll go operation, comp on background, and then we have a slight light bouncing onto the foreground. So we can turn it on and off so you can see the difference. So that's off, and then that's with the bounce on. So it further sells it even more so. So experiment with all the settings to get the look that you want. The next thing we're going to do is a color correction on the foreground layer to further blend it into the background. So with the layer selected, we'll go Effect, Color Correction, select Curves. Now the background is a little bit brighter, so we'll go on the RGB curve and bring it up a little bit to brighten it just slightly. And also we're going to cool it to match the background. So we'll go to the blue curve and bring it up slightly. With all that done, what you can do now is go File, Save, and then you can just close it. And now we're back in Adobe Premiere with the dynamic link to the After Effects project, and the green screen effect has been applied. If we go to the main sequence where everything has been spliced, you can see that the adjustment layer puts on the green screen effect here as well. In the event that you want to fine-tune the actual green screen effect, you can go back to the adjustment sequence, right-click on the layer, and select Edit Original, and that'll reopen the After Effects project for you. So that's it. Now I do realize I use Red Giant's third-party plugin Primac here, and it does run around $500. So for most of you who can't afford that, I encourage you to experiment with Keylight, which is bundled in with Adobe, and it is a half-decent keyer. So start experimenting with that. All the principles are transferable, so get out there and start keying things. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.